Hi, I'm Mohammed Ali with Phoenix 11. We are at the Phoenix Fire Department headquarters. We'll be talking about fire extinguishers. You might have one at home, but do you know how to use it? Do you know when it expires? Joining me is Jeff Steinbeck, firefighter. He will be telling more about the fire extinguishers. Hi, Jeff. Welcome,
Hi.
and thanks for coming to Phoenix 11.
It's great to be here.
What type of fire extinguishers is best for home use?
Well, which is ever where you're going to have a potential for fire, and that's typically going to be your kitchen. So for a long, long time, we used a multi-purpose fire extinguisher, ABC. It handles liquid fires like gas, kerosene, and hot oil on the stove, and then it also handles energized electrical equipment. However, it's been found that most multi-purpose fire extinguishers tend to disperse the oil in a kitchen fire, which is typically your most common fire.
Kitchens are considered the primary danger zone because this is where the majority of home fires begin. Is there any particular size you recommend fire extinguisher?
What we generally recommend is if you are going to attempt to put out a fire that's approximately the size of your ordinary business trash can, something that size, this fire extinguisher for sure will take care of and have a little bit of extra. This one you wouldn't want to use, of course, because that's for a kitchen, but one this size potentially would take care of a small fire or this trash can size fire. Anything larger than that, you need to call 911 and evacuate.
So, where is the best place to keep fire extinguishers at home?
Well, you would think, where the fires start in the kitchen is on right near the stove, but if a fire starts on the stove and you have the fire extinguisher right there, fire may be too large for you to safely get to the fire extinguisher.
Captain Steinbeck recommends we keep fire extinguishers near the kitchen area where everyone knows the location and everyone can reach it. If we find out that a fire extinguisher at home is expired, what do we do?
Well, typically, fire extinguishers should last indefinitely. Most of your better extinguishers, the pricier ones, will have a gauge on them. And if the needle's in the green, it's good. If the needle is off of the green, then it's one that shouldn't be used. But you need to periodically check it. And what I would recommend that anyone who has a fire extinguisher at home to do is to kind of build that in with your smoke alarm test, where you check your smoke alarm at least once a month, change the batteries once a year. You should probably check your fire extinguisher at least once a month.
On the fire extinguisher, is it clearly marked? Any expiration dates?
No, there typically isn't. I've taught classes where I've had students bring in fire extinguishers that have been in their kitchen for years, up to 10 years, and they work just fine. I've had fire extinguishers that have just come back from the company that refills them and they don't work at all. So the best thing is to be proactive. Check your fire extinguisher, make sure the needle's in the green, feel it, make sure that the weight's in there, maybe turn it upside down every now and then. If it has a rubber hose, make sure the rubber hose hasn't cracked and is actually going to send the product out the nozzle where you think it's going to go.
In case there's a fire at home, how do you handle the fire extinguisher? I mean, what's the right position you should be and how will you handle?
Well, there's an acronym that we like people to remember. It's PASS, P-A-S-S, which stands for pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. Pull means to pull the pin. Most fire extinguishers will have a pin to prevent an accidental discharge. Aim, you need to aim the fire extinguisher at the base of the fire. Squeeze, you need to squeeze the handle. And sweep, you need to use a sweeping motion. Basically what a fire extinguisher does is to displace the oxygen. 3 things cause fire: heat, fuel, and oxygen. If you remove one of those legs, the fire is going to go out. What a fire extinguisher does typically is going to remove the oxygen. However, there may still be a heat source, so there's some other measures that you should take in order to make sure the fire is sufficiently extinguished. However, if the fire is any larger than a trash can, you're going to leave the room, shut the door, go out of the building, call 911.
Is a fire extinguisher posing a threat to young children and pets?
Typically not. What the hazard would be with a fire extinguisher is the agent that's used to extinguish the fire. So anyone that has asthma or any kind of a breathing problem, if they're exposed to that powder, it's definitely going to cause them some problems. And I would like to add that if you decide to use a fire extinguisher in your home, it is very, very messy, as you will see from our demo.
Why don't we head out for the demo?
Mohammed, this is what I would call a typical home fire extinguisher. It does mimic some of the bigger ones in that it does have a gauge, okay, and you can see that this one's in the green. So we're actually going to attempt to use this. And remember the acronym I mentioned before, PASS. Pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. So again, pull means to pull the pin, and this one has a locking tab on it. Yours at home may not have something exactly like this, but there should be something that keeps that pin in place. It prevents an accidental discharge of the fire extinguisher. I'm going to walk towards the fire. I've already pulled the pin. I'm going to squeeze and sweep. Aim, squeeze, and sweep. And there we go. Fire's out, just like that. But now you see the fire extinguisher is not in the green anymore. So even though we only used it for a couple of seconds, you might think that it's okay to use. But we've actually broken a seal inside the fire extinguisher. So now there's the potential for the propellant to actually leak out. So when you think that this might still be good, it may not, because you're not going to be able to get the chemical out.
According to what you said, Jeff, now, this is one-time use?
That's correct, Mohammed. You never know what has happened internally. And of course, you can look at the gauge and you can see that it's not in the green anymore, okay? Even though we only used it for about 10 seconds, we're not sure if there's actually going to be propellant inside the fire extinguisher when you're ready to go and use it. So the bigger the fire, the more product you're going to use. However, once it's used, it either needs to be refilled or discarded.
For more information on fire extinguisher safety, log on to phoenix.gov/fire. For Phoenix 11, I am Mohammed Ali.